The recovery in Puerto Rico continues nearly 2 weeks after Hurricane Maria made landfall. Millions of American citizens on the island need help, and some on the island are questioning the relief efforts from the U.S. government. President Trump maintains that the cleanup has been a success to date, but San Juan Mayor Cruz is asking for more federal relief. Talking Points contributor Gilat Melamed is here to talk about the dispute between the two leaders and explain what it means for U.S.-Puerto Rican relations. Gilat, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, is the White House really overselling this relief effort, or is it actually a good relief effort and it's just being overshadowed by President Trump's feud with Mayor Cruz?
Right, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that they're overselling what they're doing. I just think they have different views. I think in their eyes, what they're doing is enough, and in the eyes of critics, of the eyes of the mayor of San Juan, they're not doing enough. So it's not that they're overselling it, they just have differing views. The FEMA administrator, Brock Long, said that there's all this commotion surrounding this story, and it's overshadowing their efforts. Trump he did plan on going to Puerto Rico tomorrow, although we're not sure if that's still happening due to today's events in Las Vegas.
In all of this commotion, though, one of the most talked about subject lines is the Jones Act. Now, what exactly does that mean for the island of Puerto Rico and also relations with the United States?
Right. In the bigger picture, I mean, the Jones Act is a century-old thing. It's a hot topic now due to the hurricane. But before that, basically, it was just making things very expensive to be shipped into Puerto Rico from the U.S. mainland, kind of treating them differently. It was twice as much money to ship from the U.S. mainland to Puerto Rico than from a foreign port to Puerto Rico, even though we have U.S. citizens there. In terms of the hurricane, the Jones Act was lifted for Texas and Florida, actually, before Harvey and Irma hit. But as you know, there was a big public outcry before Trump lifted the Jones Act for Puerto Rico, so it kind of shows how the situations were treated differently.
Now, Puerto Ricans in Florida actually played a pretty large role in helping Donald Trump win that state. And just if you go back last week, a lot were actually thankful for the response up until President Trump started that feud, he didn't particularly start it himself, but got involved in that feud, and he suggested that Puerto Rico was creating their own problems with debt and poor infrastructure. Moving forward, do you think this is a problem that statehood could fix?
You know, I just don't think statehood is very lightly. I think the thing is with statehood, then Puerto Rico has debt that President Trump was talking about. We inherit the debt, the unemployment levels, and I don't think it would necessarily fix the rhetoric towards Puerto Rico by President Trump. The people of Puerto Rico really do want statehood. They voted for it by a large majority, but I don't think it will happen in Congress.
Now, to an average viewer, there has been a tremendous chasm between the coverage of Harvey and Irma and then the coverage of Maria. Why has that been, and is there actually a disproportionate amount of coverage?
Yeah, there actually is a disproportionate amount of coverage. If you look at the charts of the coverage up there, Harvey and Irma, in terms of sentences a day, said about 2,000 sentences a day for them, but Maria was about 500 sentences. So basically what you're saying, and you see in terms of just where it was, Texas and Florida around the thousands, Puerto Rico around 1,005 or 500, basically Texas and Florida got 4 times more coverage than Hurricane Maria, essentially, despite the fact that it is U.S. citizens being affected in Puerto Rico as well as in Florida and Texas. And the National Association of Hispanic Journalists actually called out the media, saying they weren't giving enough coverage to Puerto Rico. And even just looking at who the network sent to Puerto Rico, Lester Holt of NBC was the only one to anchor from Puerto Rico, not the other major networks where they did anchor from Florida during Irma.
We'll be sure to monitor this situation. Thanks, Gilat, for being here.
Thank you, Gilat.